What if the grand narrative of World War II, etched into every history book and documentary, has obscured the shadowy undercurrents that truly propelled humanity into abyss? We're taught it ignited with Hitler's blitz into Poland in September 1939, a spark of aggression, yes, but akin to blaming the Titanic's demise solely on that fateful iceberg. Beneath the waves lurked deeper forces, a festering debt crisis born from the ashes of World War I, where international bankers, entangled in a web of reparations and loans, orchestrated a financial reckoning that demanded resolution through cataclysm. Imagine a world where unpaid obligations from one war didn't just linger, they engineered the next, transforming economic ledgers into blueprints for conquest and carnage. Picture this: Hitler, the destitute painter turned demagogue, didn't ascend through sheer oratory alone. His ascent was bankrolled, subtly and systematically, by the very American financial titans who had reaped fortunes from the Great War's carnage. The invasion of Poland? Not merely ideological fury, but the ignition of a meticulously planned debt reclamation simmering for 2 decades. In this untold chronicle, we uncover how those unresolved World War I debts morphed a fringe agitator into an instrument of global creditors, culminating in history's bloodiest conflict, a colossal debt consolidation veiled in the rhetoric of nationalism and racial destiny. Our journey commences not amid the thunder of 1939's guns, but in the gilded halls of 1919's Versailles, where victors planted a fiscal landmine, rendering World War II not aberration, but arithmetic inevitability. June 28, 1919. In the opulent Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, German delegates affixed their signatures to a treaty that history reveres for its geopolitical amputations: territories severed, armies shackled. Yet the true dagger aimed at Germany's heart was Article 231, the infamous War Guilt Clause, branding the nation sole culprit for the conflict's devastation and forging the juridical chains for reparations designed to eviscerate its sovereignty. The tally: 132 billion gold marks, mirroring some 400 billion in contemporary valuation, a sum not merely punitive, but a perpetual siphon of wealth, echoing the Ottoman Empire's earlier subjugation under similar creditor overseers in the late 19th century, where default invited foreign tutelage over treasuries. This wasn't retribution unbound. It was architecture for extraction, blind to the human toll. Germany, reeling from blockade-induced famine that claimed hundreds of thousands even before armistice, was saddled with a burden philosopher-economist John Maynard Keynes decried in his 1919 treatise The Economic Consequences of the Peace as a Carthaginian peace, foretelling resentment's harvest. Keynes, a Versailles delegate who resigned in protest, warned that such demands would sow seeds of revanchism, destabilizing Europe's fragile equilibrium. Prophecy validated as hyperinflation ravaged the Weimar Republic, eroding savings and fostering despair. Yet the reparations weren't envisioned as self-financed from Germany's depleted coffers. They embodied a carousel of indebtedness, orchestrated by Wall Street's vanguard. From inception, the schema hinged on American banks as the fulcrum. Germany would procure loans from U.S. institutions to remit reparations to Britain and France, who in turn discharged their war loans to America, funds swelling with compounded interest at every conduit. This triangular flow, redolent of colonial tribute systems, ensured American capital's recirculation with profit, a mechanism philosopher Hannah Arendt later critiqued as imperialism's financial evolution, where sovereignty yields to ledger dominance. The Dawes Plan of 1924 formalized this labyrinth, christened after financier Charles Dawes, who reconfigured reparation schedules while channeling colossal U.S. loans to buoy Germany's economy. Initial infusions totaling 800 million gold marks, spearheaded by J.P. Morgan and Company's syndicate. Genius or predation? From bankers' vantage, it was masterstroke. loans tethered with oversight clauses, embedding American advisors in German fiscal veins, supervising expenditures, taxation, even the Reichsbank's autonomy. Railways, factories, customs dues, all collateralized, transforming a proud industrial titan into a de facto ward of foreign finance. German laborers toiled, taxes flowed, yet a tranche vanished overseas pre-domestic allocation, evoking ancient tribute empires where peripheries sustained metropolies. This wasn't anomaly. It mirrored precedents like Britain's grip on Egypt post-Suez Canal debts in the 1870s, where financial distress invited imperial receivership, underscoring a perennial truth: debt as Dominion's silent sovereign. The Young Plan of 1929 prolonged this yoke, trimming the principle yet stretching servitude to 1988. Envisioned progeny of the Depression era indentured lifelong for elder sins, a generational theft philosophically akin to Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, where past burdens eternally recur. Amid this, the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, emerged in Basel, Switzerland, 1930, a cloaked nexus for debt orchestration, central bank's central bank, processing reparations amid secrecy. Between 1924 and 1930, U.S. investors pumped 27 billion marks into Germany, outpacing 19 billion in outflows. Sustainability wasn't the aim, perpetual leverage was, institutionalizing control beyond borders. Yet fragility lurked. The apparatus thrived on ceaseless U.S. lending. October 1929's Wall Street implosion severed the artery. Loans evaporated. Germany defaulted on reparations, cascading to Britain and France's U.S. delinquencies. The carousel ground halt, unmasking vulnerabilities. Germany plunged. Unemployment ballooned from 1.3 million to 6 million by 1932. Factories idled, banks buckled. Weimar's fragility, debt amplified, breeding chaos. This wasn't happenstance. Versailles architecture invited shock, absent buffers like diversified reserves or autonomous credit. As ordinary Germans queued for bread amid hyperinflation's ghosts, creditors confronted peril. Billions, loaned to German entities, teetered, post-crash portfolios hemorrhaging. Collapse meant defaults. Stability, calibrated, meant continuity. Teetering on a knife's edge where desperation birthed radicalism. Enter Hitler's shadow. From 1930's electoral fringes to 1933's chancellery in 3 vertiginous years. Charisma, Versailles bitterness, crisis confluence explain much, yet elide the fiscal scaffolding. Industrial behemoths like I.G. Farben's chemical empire, Krupp's armaments forge, Tyson's steel colossus, funneled depression-defying funds to the Nazis, whence the capital. Selective U.S. infusions persisted, bypassing general drought, channeled via BIS's extra-legal veil. Transactions opaque, board-fusing Reichsbank with Fed, Bank of England evading oversight. Hitler's 1933 ascension didn't deter. Credit surged 1933 to 1939. Why? Pragmatic calculus. He vowed order, crushed unions, pledged debt fidelity, preferable to Bolshevik specter or insolvency. Corporate entanglements deepened the complicity. IBM's Dehomag punch cards systematized Holocaust logistics, Watson's Eagle Cross honor persisting. GM's Opel, Ford's outposts, retooled for blitzkrieg vehicles. Rockefeller's Standard Oil patent shared synthetics with Farben, fueling Zyklon B and war machines, essential for a gutted Reich's resurgence. Banking's core, Prescott Bush's Brown Brothers Harrington, ties to Tyson. Union Banking's 1942 seizure under enemy trading statutes. Chase's Parisian collaboration, freezing Jewish assets within coercion. BIS, wartime conduit for looted gold, including victims' meltings, hosted Allied Axis financiers unprosecuted. Its sanctity underscoring finance's transcendence over morality. By 1939, Germany's ledger swelled with U.S. obligations, intertwined with Eastern Europe's 1920s borrowings from German banks. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Romania, indebted. Invasion's underbelly?
conquest as creditors levy, seizing assets to amortize dues. Ideology cloaked economics, aggression rationalized plunder, mirroring 1929's crash begetting 2008's bailouts, where crisis fortified lenders, presaging 2025's debt spirals amid inflation and geopolitical fractures, where unpaid obligations again tempt resets through conflict or consolidation.